Really amazing, smooth music out there. And thanks to all the panelists and the guests over here today. Um, I'm very excited to share and discuss about some really creative topics here. And of course, most of all, was your community is asking for amazing updates on what we are doing behind the scenes and what we have in store in the coming next couple of weeks and months.
Absolutely. And yes, we're going to go all the way, dive deep into everything around not only just this topic, but I know we have some strategic partnerships we want to cover as well. But DG, appreciate you. And again, thank you for allowing us to come onto the Astronova platform to even have a discussion around this topic today. Let's check in here with our guests. I do want to check in first with Manzori, and then we'll kind of work around this group. But Manzori, what's going on, guys? How are we doing today?
Hey, GM, everyone. Super excited to be here. What a smooth introduction you guys had with the music. It was fantastic. I'm really happy to be here, guys. Matt here from Mansuri, head of growth. Super happy to be here and hope we're going to have a good time today. Looking forward.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure, Matt, to meet you as well. I see we also have Game Store with us as well. GameStore.io. What is going on, guys? How are we doing?
Hey, it's a good evening, actually. I'm from the other part of the world. Benki here from Binary. We run Game Store, which is our app, and super excited to be here in the spaces with you guys.
Absolutely. It's our absolute honor to have you as well. And look, now that we've knocked out at least the speakers behind these awesome accounts, Manzori, if you don't mind, I'm going to toss it right back to you. If you can just give us a quick little introduction, for some people in the audience, that this might be their first time discovering you guys. And so I want to give you guys also a proper, introduction to your guys' product as well and your guys' platform. And then we'll go around the room again. But Manzori, if you don't mind, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Everyone knows Mansouri is a car company. It's a best in the world car preparation company. So if you have a Ferrari or Lamborghini, etc., and you want it to be really made to your taste, like you want to change something in the motor, you want to change the interior of the car, you want to have a specific color that is not coming normally when you buy the model itself, Mansouri is the number one in the world to do it, right? Like very limited editions, etc. And now Mansouri is also like as a very innovative company entering the Web3 space to allow access to much more people to enter the Mansouri universe by creating products like merchandising, staking. We also created like a Mansouri token to allow people to network and to be part of the Mansouri universe, even though they don't necessarily have um, the funds to be able to purchase the Mansouri cars themselves, but at least like they can start interacting with our brand and being part of it and having a good time and being part of this fantastic universe that Mansouri is.
I love this. I love this. And again, I appreciate the brief summary here. Personally, for me, this is something that right up my alley. Not only do I love cars, but just the idea of merchandise, especially with luxury. I know us crypto bros tend to, take our profits from the casino and tend to buy nice things for us, right? So definitely feel this. And Manzori, I appreciate again just a soft intro here.
Exactly. Yeah. This is exactly what we are seeing as well with our users who really enjoy like all the merchandising we're having. Like we have scooters, we have shishas, right? Like the shishas are extremely popular. Like crypto people buying those Mansuri shishas that we can also like brand for their favorite meme coin or project, right? Like absolutely.
Man, I love this. And again, we'll pass the microphone throughout today's space. Manzori, appreciate the swift summary there. Let's toss it right back to GameStore.io. And of course, GameStore, like just I asked Manzori here, if you don't mind giving us a quick little introduction to your guys' platform, just for people here in the audience that may have found you guys for the first time today. And then we can kind of go from there. GameStore, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
absolutely. Glad to. So, GameStore.io is a product that we built as the Binary Holdings. Binary Holdings is the parent company, and we're a distribution layer, so to speak. So, essentially, we built out products that sit inside Web2 legacy industries like telcos, right? Telecommunication, mobile networks. And through that, we're able to bring in a lot of exciting Web3 projects onto mainstream Web2 users. And we try and do away with any sort of like friction when it comes to onboarding. So essentially, yeah, we're able to funnel in a ton of like Web2 users in to use, play games, social file, lifestyle, anything under the sun, pretty much from a Web3 standpoint.
Awesome. And again, I love the amount of activation layers that, I'm kind of hearing from you guys, Game Store. You mentioned, these social layers. Can you just expand a little bit more on that real quick, Game Store? Which ones have you mentioned?
So right now I'll work backwards, right? So we are live in Indonesia and Philippines, and we're going live in Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, and couple of more countries in Africa. So essentially, we built a platform that sits inside any sort of like telco app. And on the Web3 side of things, including Astronova, we've got about 100 projects that we're integrating in right now. So essentially, any telco user who uses their app is able to come in into our ecosystem and look at what essentially is a game store and be able to interact with different types of games, play, and earn loyalty points, which they redeem for real world Web2 assets, Web2 rewards. And on the back end, obviously, we built the blockchain layer, which enables both transactions as well as like token movement. That happens again, super seamless, super frictionless. The Web2 user does not have to be worried or concerned about it. But we do have sort of usage for a lot of these Web3 projects through that.
I love this. And again, I feel like gamification is such a huge layer to crypto products, right? And we honestly, every time I hear feedback, at least from retail, they don't want to ever interact or understand the blockchain because it's too complicated, right? So to simplify that down, we need to kind of tuck the crypto behind the product. And I think it's a huge, key part of your take here, GameStore. But yes, thank you to both Manzori and GameStore for the very swift, brief introductions on the platforms. And to everyone here listening in the audience, you guys can literally tap on their profile to get a little bit more information if you are more curious about their products themselves. But to pivot a little bit in the conversation, I do realize that we have a lot of partnerships kind of going around here on the stage. There is a reason why Manzori and GameStore, I believe, are on the stage as well. And I do want to toss it here to DG really quickly, to kind of just give us a quick little coverage on why certain strategic partnerships were made here. So DG, if you don't mind, maybe we can kind of hone in on the Manzori partnership first, and we'll hear both from DG and Manzori here in just a sec. But DG, going to you first, what led you to kind of just the decision of partnering up with Manzori as a platform? Would love to hear your thoughts on this, DG.
Sure. So, yeah, Mansouri is one of the really legends when it comes to the automobile industry. So, us being especially based out of the kingdom as an AI entertainment ecosystem with several multimedia products out there, we did see a natural synergy in which we were able to partner with that luxury brand, having aspects such as gamification aspects, such as within our action RPG, having some assets, some special edition um, missions where some of our characters are able to play. So these would be like Easter eggs. So we're still in the process of developing that game build. This is part of the action RPG game builds that we release almost every 3 to 4 months to our community. Um, Apart from this, we have the webcomic collection through our Nova Tunes, our DApp, which is currently on Play Store and soon to be on App Store. So this is another angle where we do cross IP collabs, and partnering with Mansouri gives both a feature of within our own lore which we are creating, all based on the Astronova universe. So these are initially two angles that we are exploring, and we're very happy to collaborate with another brand which has a lot of Middle Eastern ties.
I love this, man. I think my favorite part of this is just hearing the potential of these partnerships, right? DG, before I go back to you, I do also want to hear from Manzori's side of things as well. Manzori, kind of flipping the script here. What made you guys want to partner with Astra Nova? Curious to know your thoughts on this.
Absolutely. Like to us, it was a clear win-win, right? Like when we thought about the idea first, like two iconic IPs meeting each other and being present, like either in game or like in iconic laws, right? This is something that we saw immediately and were very excited to participate on. There was also like some existing connections from our founders as well, and to us it's very important. Like trust matters a lot when we're looking into a partnership, so we always wanted to work with people we already knew. When we had this opportunity to work together, we immediately jumped on it. I think it's a clear win-win for people to know in Web3 more about Mansouri, but also like to help you guys with like a very strong Web2 brand, which is Mansouri. I think it's a clear win-win that we are very proud to participate in.
I love this, and I love this. And this might be a question that's already, too far-fetched in the future here, but Mansouri, what can we expect from this partnership within probably the next 6 to 12 months? Is there any alpha or anything, any news you can share along those lines?
We already shared a lot in multiple Twitter scripts and Twitter posts, especially when it comes to design, when it comes to the gameplay. I cannot reveal too much, but there is definitely like some very exciting stuff coming along, right? Like different cars integration, different like transformer type of cars. I wish I could say more, but there's still a lot of stuff that we're working on at the moment. So I think we're gonna have to tell our community to wait a little bit. Like we don't want to kill the surprise. But let's get ready, guys. Like much more cars are coming, more than cars as well. So it's gonna be a nice surprise.
I love this, man. Side question very quickly, Mansouri. What is your favorite luxury car at the moment?
Oh, like don't get me started. Like I've been to multiple Mansouri showrooms throughout the world. It's very hard to know like which one is your favorite one. There is of course like, but I'm a G-Wagon guy, so like all the G-Wagon variations that we've been doing with Mansouri is clearly like my number one goal, right? And that's why I'm working so hard. I want to be able to buy one self. I mean, I've been able to drive some of them, but it's not the same. It's better if the car is belonging to you. So this is what I'm grinding for every day.
I love it, man. A man with taste, the G-Wagon selection. Appreciate you. And again, thank you for sharing a little bit more on the preview, the potential of what's coming up here with the partnership with Astra Nova. I'll toss it now to GameStore.io. And I know, GameStore, you are also representing Binary Holdings. So would love to hear it from your side of things as well, GameStore, on how exactly does Astra Nova complement your project's mission or even expand your ecosystem? GameStore, please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we like to say is we're taking the first step of like in our efforts to like bring Web3, like really exciting Web3 projects to Web2, right? And as you mentioned earlier, like people just don't want to have the hassle of doing whatever, like 10 different steps to be able to like access a Web3 project. So we really like simplified that entire process. So any Web2 telco user just opens an app, he's able to see our tab, open it, and then see any sort of game. So that's the model that we've gone for. Very like Web2, making sure it's like super easy for a Web2 user. Specifically with Astronova, I think we're going to start off with integrating the games from Telegram, and then essentially just being able to bring in millions and millions of users to come and play the game. So that's essentially, I think, the first step of what we hope to be is going to be a long and like pretty like cool partnership that we're building. And actually, I think like it's interesting that we're doing the spaces today, because I think just a little while back we just started getting the integrations to happen. So it's not like it's something that's far off. I think in the matter of like 48 to 72 hours, we'll have them ready, and at least like testing starts, and maybe next week they go live with over about 170 million users that we have in live in Indonesia and Philippines being able to access the game.
I love this. And before I toss it here to DG for insight on this own partnership, GameStore, just a quick question from my end. Any reason why you're targeting more of the Asia demographic? And will we potentially see more of Western demographics involved here in anytime soon?
Yeah, great question. I think like the reason we pick Southeast Asia as our first market is you can break it down into 2 or 3 things, right? One is mobile penetration is really high. That's, I think, the first and foremost. Like, you have like countries with 70, 80, 90% of like mobile penetration. And if you break that down, that's again like 60, 70% who are very comfortable playing like mobile games and who understand how that economy works. So that's number one. Second, the cost of data is again like way lower compared to like rest of the world or like most of the other markets. That's the second thing. And I think the third factor for us was these markets traditionally are like underserved, have like a lot of like underserved and underbanked population for whom sort of like alternate economy, if I can call it that, is absolutely possible through blockchain and Web3 technologies, right? So it just was a no-brainer to like start off here. And of course, this is also like home territory for a lot of like the team. So all of those factors, we said, okay, let's start from Southeast Asia. But what sort of organically happened was that's actually opened doors in LATAM for us and parts of Africa and like Europe and the Middle East as well. So we're having like active conversation with telcos, e-wallets, different sorts of like fintech payment providers, banks, etc. Because our solution is to replace the current existing like loyalty point solution. So for a Web2 user, it's essentially they're playing games, watching videos, interacting with different types of apps, and earning loyalty points for the time that they spend. And they're able to redeem these loyalty points for things as simple as, let's say, a coffee or at their like local convenience store or like talk time, etc. So it's real KYC users and not bots accessing these games, and those users directly benefit uh, by being able to redeem like Web2 rewards. So we felt it was a win-win, and Southeast Asia has become like it was a testing market, and now it's just become like a great like first market for us.
Amazing, amazing. And I figured, right, like Southeast Asia is probably filled with many different types of users. And I love how you're kind of using these loyalty points to redeem for just these IRL rewards, right? I would love to see like maybe even Pokemon cards in there somewhere tossed in as a reward to redeem. I know that's very, very much trending today, but I want to hear from DG as well on just this quick, strategic partnership announcement with Binary Holdings. So DG, essentially the same question on your end. What can we be expecting amongst this partnership with GameStore or Binary Holdings? DG, please go ahead, man.
Right. So Binary Holdings, as they mentioned, they have a very, very strong network, especially in Southeast Asia with telcos. And we see that as a strategic opportunity to tap into those users, especially when it comes to, when we're building a multimedia ecosystem like the one we are having with different forms of entertainment products. We're looking to funnel in for initially the casual users who's in the telco apps, initially through a Telegram game, the Deviant's Telegram game of ours, which opens up that casual gaming experience, and later funneling that over to our comics application. So our plan and strategy is mainly to have the easy effort sort of games initially provided to these users, and then once they are quite interested in our application, then slowly extend that into the lore and the comics which we have. So, and then further down the lane, it will be going to more complex aspects, because this would be actually tapping into not purely the Web3 audience, but also to a whole new segment of Web2 audience, which is not very familiar with all the blockchain and crypto experiences that we are so used to. So we're taking it step by step, and then eventually getting in more involved into our ecosystem as we progress.
Amazing, amazing. I love this response. And again, guys, this is just a very brief, glimpse, a preview amongst what you're going to be seeing here between Astronova, Manzori, and of course, Binary Holdings. And again, I appreciate all the information you guys can share within this space today. But again, to pivot, and before we continue on with today's conversation, I know we're approaching the 30-minute mark here, but man, we are hovering right around 150 live concurrent listeners. So I do just want to extend a massive, massive thank you to all the community members that are showing up amongst all these three awesome brands on stage today. So if you haven't already, show some love to that spacing pin at the very top of the Jumbotron there if you haven't. But look, I want to dive in now to this conversation, this topic of around AI, communities, and the new creative economy. And like I mentioned in the intro, this is something that's very passionate and dear to me since I myself am a creative. I love creating content. I love telling people stories, and many other things along those lines. And from what I've seen the past year or so now, especially since ChatGPT has become almost like the new Google, right? AI is starting to become a huge creative catalyst, I think, especially here in Web3. And not only is it applicable to creators, but we're seeing this happen across brands and companies in this space as well. But to kind of kick off this topic and this side of the conversation, I do want to go back to you, DG. And I would love to just hear your honest and raw thoughts on just what have you been seeing as far as like the impact of AI in this space, right? And this can go as far as, pushing creativity here in Web3, or do you think it's limiting creativity, human manual application? Would just love to hear your thoughts on this, DG, and then we'll kind of go from here.
Right. I think AI as a whole is now becoming a necessity for all projects. It's very hard to not become a project which does not have an AI aspect to it. Very different from how it started, but now it's more like an essential, I would say. It can range from efficiency all the way to applications to new features, which would have been very difficult to program otherwise. Now, for instance, in our case, for our ecosystem that we created, the AI aspects actually powers and helps amplify the creativity aspects. So right now we are in the final process of completing our UGC platform, which is with Playmakers platform. Now, this is something we are planning to do this around the time after the launch of our token, ideally, because this would allow users to. We have one of our revenue sources is Battle Pass campaigns, similar to how Dota makes their money, and we wanted to have these events and competitions where our users and community is actually going out there into this platform and utilizing the AI to create comics, assets, game assets we were talking about, fan fictions, all variety of stuff which they can do thanks to this easy to use platform. And they're part of this quest or competition now, which they get rewarded, for really, really good entries. So we have some really innovative ways where this is used, but I think there's a whole lot of other application layers as well. Like, for instance, one of our core products, Token Play, is pretty much an AI infra platform, which allows um, plenty of folks to actually turn into utilities and improving the shelf life of many tokens out there in the industry. But I don't want to go too much into Token Play yet. I will have probably a separate session for it. But I would say, in a nutshell, if if a project or a company is not actually integrating AI at this point, they're just going to be left left in the dust at this point.
I love this response, man. And again, I even agree with a lot of your points you mentioned. Before I toss it to Manzor, I see him with his hand, but DG, just going back to you for a quick little bounce question, right? You mentioned this necessity for AI to have, especially in companies nowadays. Do you though feel like that AI is currently just kind of just being used more for automation in systems more than it is on a creative, standpoint? Curious to know your thoughts on that.
I think creativity is definitely one of the biggest use cases of AI. I mean, I would say our CSO, our brand strategy director, he's the one who would really argue with me on this, because he believes in the human element of creativity it should be from that individual, and then the AI to amplify it. Otherwise, it's just going to be like brain rot, not just anything unique, because it's a model, right? And if everyone is kind of using the same model, and then there's very, very little chance of getting that output to be unique. So it's always important to have like creative elements from a human person giving those inputs, and then amplifying on that, or fine tuning that. That would be the best angle for a creative standpoint, according to me, from my experience dealing with him.
I love that response. And honestly, like, that's exactly where I kind of stand as well. I just don't want to see humans or just, creatives in general just lose sight of using our own, I guess, manual creativity, if that makes sense, and fully, giving that into AI. I do agree though to that extent of like AI should empower the creativity in the output, right? But that is very true. If everyone is using the same model, then nothing is ever unique. So how do you stand out, right? So really, really great points there, DG. I do want to hear from Matt. Matt, you had your hand up previously. Would love to hear your thoughts on this, Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah, guys, there's a lot to unpack behind that question, but I must say, like, I would agree with most of your points. Um, AI right now, it's lowering the barrier for people to create, right? Like right now, everyone can create like an image with ChatGPT and just like a single prompt. And before, you were needing like some kind of a developer or like a designer, etc., to be doing the text. But I think one thing that like we see more and more is that actually the content we see online is losing its quality over and over, because it's super easy right now to spin up like a WordPress website that's going to do like 30, 40 blog articles, and then they all seem to be the same, for example. So it lowers the barrier, but at the same time, like it decreases a little bit the quality. And I think like I agree with what you mentioned, DG. Like at the end of the day, you can create a lot with AI, but you still need the sparkle that is coming from a human, right? Like the idea of like what is the article you're gonna write about, or like what's the image you're going to create. Like this is where the real creativity is. But the real creativity is not into how do you execute that, because ChatGPT is writing better than most human in most cases, or like ChatGPT is actually creating like better images than most human. But the idea of the prompt, right? This is where the quality is. This is where the creativity is, and we still now need human to actually like be funny, and then they translate that into AI to create the content, but not the other way around, right? Like content that has been created by AI first is in generally like less funny than content that's been created by human and then enhanced with AI.
It's such an interesting point that you mentioned here, Matt. Like, I've seen on Instagram and TikTok sometimes there are these AI creators, guys, and I'm talking about some of these AI creators have millions, even up to the high, hundreds of thousands of followers. And people actually love interacting with these type of accounts. And I think that's kind of like the layer, this social layer that these AI creators are kind of introducing to the creative space, right? It's the fact that you are able to almost in real time interact with a creator that is built by AI, and you can tell immediately from their content that, yeah, this is definitely AI generated. But it's just interesting to see how, I guess, the first wave of AI creators is received. I know here on X though, there is a lot of negative feedback on like these AI agent bots, in people's comment sections and replies. And I think this is what kind of stemmed the whole AI slop complaint, especially with the whole InfoFi and SocialFi layers that were introduced recently. So yeah, I'm very much curious on how just we kind of evolve from this first wave of AI agents and AI creators. But Matt, I also want to hear just a quick question to you before I hear from GameStore Binary Holdings. Matt, do you feel like, again, where AI is right now in Web3 and crypto, that it can kind of help simplify the way crypto is kind of received to the general public eye? Or do you think AI and crypto together is just as complicated as a duo? And this is kind of hurt onboarding, or does it kind of help onboarding new users? Matt, would love to hear your thoughts on that.
When it comes to this, I believe like it's all about like user onboarding. Most users sometimes they don't even know they are interacting with AI, or they don't even know that they are interacting with crypto. And this is where we should try to go if we really want to have mass adoption. We cannot expect like one guy let's imagine like someone who is working in plumbing, for example, he should not have to understand like anything about blockchain, anything about crypto. He should not even be thinking, oh, do I have to bridge my funds from one blockchain to the other? So when it comes to crypto and when it comes to AI, I believe that those changes that will happen, they will be very discreet, and like the mass of the population who is interacting with crypto or who is interacting with AI, they don't necessarily need to understand like all the details that you have behind it. I also believe that more and more we're going to have agent-to-agent communication. So it's not necessarily going to be a human talking to an AI, but it's more and more going to be like multiple AIs talking to each other, paying each other. And for this, like AI need to have crypto rails, right? Like, because if not, then which type of currency can those AIs be using, especially if they are like working from, like if one AI from a specific part of the world is giving a mandate to another AI on the other side of the world, like do they have to go through exchange rates? So crypto is actually the number one payment rail for multiple AIs to be talking with each other. And that's why I think that those two technologies, even though the like the normies will not understand how this works, they will be using it constantly, even though they wouldn't be like, for example, we use the TCP/IP protocol all the time, but like no one really know how it works, right? Like we use SSL encryption all the time. Like I don't know how it works, like in detail, and it's okay, right? Like we actually don't have to. At Montsori, we are implementing a lot of like AI functions. We are starting as well, like experimenting with AI in the navigation board system on cars. Like I think I come back to what you meant saying a little bit earlier, DG, about like companies that do not implement AI, they're gonna get left behind, and it's already the case today.
Man, first of all, Matt, I love the in-depth response that you gave me here. And funny enough, now that I'm thinking about it after you just shared, I can definitely see AI actually being a huge help when it comes to kind of like the back end side of these consumer products, right? And funny enough, when I think of cars, no one cares about how the engine works or what does this part do. What do people mainly care about? If the car just works, if the car just takes them from point A to point B. And so I'm assuming and I'm taking that same thought process is exactly how normies or retail or even just us crypto participants, right? Crypto users, we just want to make sure the product works and we want to make sure that it's accessible, it's easy to understand, and et cetera along those lines, right? But Matt, really, really well said. I see you unmuting if you want to share something after.
No, I was just saying like it's all about the product, right? Like most people when they buy a car, they want it to go from point A to point B, but like when people buy a Mansouri car, they want it to go from point A to point B, but also really reflect the identity of the owner as well. Yeah, I just wanted to add that.
100% reflect the identity of the owner. That's a huge key part there. Matt, appreciate you sharing here. I do want to loop in Game Store and Binary Holdings into this conversation, and maybe from Game Store, from your perspective, especially as kind of like a gamifying marketplace or even just a platform. We'd love to see how you guys are, in your thoughts, even in just how AI is implemented in your guys' products. Game Store, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we look at it in sort of like two segments, right? Like we use AI, be it just like internally for like ideation or like even coding and things like that at the back end. I think in the front end for us, when it comes to something that's consumer facing, we are working on a couple of products, but we're, I mean, I don't want to keep harping on the fact, but we just are very hyper focused on who our user is, and we're very hyper focused on what their need states and want states are. And I think for them, while there are use cases for like AI to be implemented, but the life stage that they are in when it comes to, I guess like both on the Web2 world as well as like just understanding like crypto and AI, I think they're probably a couple of steps behind what I guess like people on this spaces are at, which is a lot more evolved understanding of like what's possible with AI. So for our community, for our like set of users, I think we're still taking like baby steps towards like integrating some AI features. And I think like once we see what's working, what's not working, we'll start like double clicking into that. Like for us, it's the user, getting them first to come in, play the games, interact with all the different projects and see real value. And then introduce, I think, like slightly, I wouldn't say complex, but I think like a concept of like how AI can add to their experience probably as step two. So that's one way of seeing it. But having said that, we are working on a couple of like AI sort of like projects, but they're like a little further down the line in terms of like coming to like a Web2 user.
No, I appreciate you sharing from your perspective. And honestly, I honestly admire and respect how hyper focused you guys are on your users. I genuinely believe a lot of these numbers that I see sometimes from these brands and companies, it's inflated or it's fake numbers. Especially when they start to reach like the millions of users on our app. Well, how many real people are actually even on crypto Twitter, right? Yet alone people interacting with your product. And so I think getting that right user is a super key ingredient to even just making sure, your product is in the right hands. But look, I know we're right around the 45-minute mark. I'm going to toss it right back to GameStore, for a response here. And then just a couple more questions and then we'll probably look to wrap up the space fairly soon. But GameStore, love to hear your thoughts on this again.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I think like you hit upon like a really critical element of like what we're trying to build, right? Which is the user. And what's exciting for us is that our users are all like KYC. Like there's an actual person at the end of like a mobile screen, like interacting with the app, who is verified, and coming in. So it's definitely not like botted in any sense of the word, or like you have like double or triple IDs utilized by the same person. So that's, I think, like what excites us and what excites like the partners that we work with. So yeah, I just wanted to like table that in.
Absolutely, man. And it's actually a really crucial point to even just nail that in the conversation today. Another topic before, again, as we head towards the last 15 minutes here, I really want to hear from you guys because from what I'm gauging from this conversation, it seems like RWAs are going to be a huge element in this new wave of how crypto is received. And in my opinion, I'm very much bullish on RWAs. I feel like there's many examples in the real world right now where RWAs just make sense. Yet I feel like the global population is just quite understanding of what RWAs are. But just to kind of reset the room, I do want to go back to DG on this one. And DG, especially when it comes to like NFTs, social tokens, on-chain royalties, right? How do we kind of bundle this up in an RWA and present it to the retail population and kind of just onboard them through crypto in this method? Or is that even possible? DG, let's hear your thoughts on this.
Right. I think RWA is definitely an interesting aspect for many projects which is building right now. Even if that doesn't mean it's going to be the main narrative, they might have some elements of RWA. I mean, people are gone are the days where people just expect everything to be digital. We're past that stage. We're looking at phygital stuff. We want things to be tied to something and not just the blockchain. We want to have something tied to it, redeem something in return. So I see a bunch of actual use cases going out there now. When it comes to the entertainment sector, which we are focused on, we see this being actually utilized in a fashion like the points or the tokens which the projects have can be swapped for any of the vouchers of any popular brand, and all of these done in a very seamless and simple manner so that as a user, they are part of a community or a project or a game, and they really enjoyed. They got some points or score, or they're part of a campaign, and they won that, and now they can redeem it in exchange for some utility in the real life, which can be a voucher in a store or a brand, something which actually gives them some form of utility. So that will be one form of application which I see working really well with the entertainment sector.
Man, I really want to host another space with you on like the AI entertainment industry. Hopefully again in sometime in the coming weeks. But Matt, I see you with your hand up. If you want to comment on what DG just shared, go ahead, man.
It's more about like the RWA segment in general. Like I agree with what Didi just mentioned. Like we are insanely bullish as Mansouri company on RWA. Like we are exploring right now a lot of very different type of angles. Like for example, people who buy a car, we give them the opportunity to as well have like the certificate of ownership of that specific car minted as an RWA NFT to actually symbolize the ownership of that specific car. We are looking as well with we're talking with collectors who want to buy a specific Mansouri car and then they want to fractionalize it as an RWA and then give people like the possibility to invest as well in specific fraction of that car. We are also looking into creating RWA for all of our merchandising items, right? Like those shishas, those scooters I mentioned at the very beginning. And then we are hoping, and I think like especially with you guys at Astra Nova, to create some integration of those RWA assets within part of the game, right? And this is basically our end game, what we want to build with you guys together, where someone buys, let's say, like a $1 million car, and they get this certificate of ownership that is also symbolized with a one-of-a-kind NFT, and then he could play it in multiple game in Web3 gaming, right? And this is where we are trying to get, and this is the vision that we have as well to enhance the Mansouri brand in Web3, where people would be playing with Mansouri car, but it's not only like a visualization of the car; it's actually the real car, right?
This is kind of like the next level of like interacting with products, right? And honestly, this is what gets me excited as well. I think we're also going to be seeing a whole different kind of, I guess, the showcase method of how we present our products to even just us crypto users and even retail, right? So Matt, really, really well said there. And look, I know we're approaching just the last 10 minutes here. Just a couple more questions before I pass it over here to DG on just kind of like the next steps and plans with the AI entertainment ecosystem. But GameStore, going over to you and just more of like a future take like on the prediction on the rest of the cycle. We have about 4 months left in 2025. Do you have any upcoming catalyst that you think will really propel, this cycle moving forward in terms of getting new users in this space? Anything you're potentially bullish on or on a specific catalyst? GameStore, let's see your thoughts on that.
Are you asking about us as the project, or it is more like a general question?
Just more of a general question. Yeah.
Okay. I think that for the general question, I'm not particularly sure. Like I have like a concrete answer. But I do think from maybe can answer both. I think like with at least the talk of like stable coins, like actually like finding like a lot more like conversations happening around it. What that's enabled for us is like, besides telcos, as I was saying, like open up a lot more like fintech and like e-wallets and others, like take a sort of like hybrid Web 2, Web 3 loyalty program more seriously and as like a viable concept, which I think is like good for us in particular. And I think like overall, I think that sort of like signals that it's a good shift that we're seeing for I guess like the Web3 crypto industry.
100%, man. And I know this is like, it's such a broad question, right? Like, what are we expecting as a catalyst to propel this space forward? And look, maybe there's some that we probably don't even notice, and maybe there's some that's going under the radar. But GameStore, I appreciate you sharing and again being with us here in the past hour. Is there anything last minute you want to share on your behalf before I pass it over to Mansouri and DG here?
No, I think like just thanks for like inviting us. We're very excited to collaborate with Astronova, and as DG was saying, the game is, I think, the first step. We do see it as an entire ecosystem that we can bring on board as a wholesome experience for Web 2 users, and we're taking the first concrete steps literally like this week. So we're very excited for that, and hopefully we'll be back soon on another spaces to share how well that's sort of like going on.
Absolutely. We would love to have you back here on the platform as well. Gonna toss it over here to Matt now. Matt, essentially the same question, Matt. Any specific catalysts or, products you're bullish on in order to onboard new users into this space for the rest of this year in 2025? Matt, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about making a seamless onboarding for the user. The reason why we're struggling right now is because people don't, I mean, on my opinion, right? Like I'm talking for myself, is that we should work even more to get more and more people to understand Web3 or so I guess it's all about focusing on user adoption, user adoption, user adoption, and user feedback. And I think sometimes, like as a light critic in our industry, we sometimes focus much more on the marketing and a little bit too less on the product. And I think like the number one catalyst we have is making sure we always listen to our users because this is where the real truth is coming from. We listened a lot to our user over the last couple of months, and we understood like what they want out of the Monterey Web3 ecosystem, and we are building exactly that, right? When it comes to people want to engage with the brand, people want to be taking part in like the Monterey Club as a token holder to be able to network with Monterey car owners, for example. So we are really like focusing into listening to users, and I believe this is what the industry should do as a whole.
Absolutely. And I would even love to see how institutions kind of push this narrative, right? But Matt, we'll save that for another conversation here in the future. Matt, I appreciate you representing Manzori today. And like what I said to Game Store, we'll love to have you guys back on in another space here in the coming weeks. Gonna toss it over now to DG just for some closing questions. And DG, we can kind of keep it brief because I know we're kind of tight on time here. But like we were discussing earlier, DG, on just this AI entertainment ecosystem, what exactly is Astronova's next steps and plans when it comes to that? DG, if you don't mind sharing, man, go ahead.
For sure. So, yeah, for Astra, we have, so there's two tracks. So for the track A, that is Astronova's products, that will be to have continued Webtoon series being deployed through with IP collabs and several other partners. So it will be an ongoing process with our latest progress and updates. So, Jade, you over there? I'm sure that the community is very excited for all the updates and progress that we've made. So feel free to go and fire away with the questions so that we can get right into it.
Awesome, awesome. Let's start with what is Astronova's next steps and plans with its ecosystem?
So when it comes to the progress, we have two different tracks. One when it concerns the Astronova as a entertainment ecosystem with our bunch of multimedia products. In the next couple of weeks, we would be having several more updates of releases through our Novatoon application, which means there will be more webcomic series coming out. This would be our own lore collection and also the ones which we collaborate with other IP brands like Shiba Inu, Simon's Cat, and even with the Mansuri brand. Apart from this, we would also be having several more action RPG gameplay tests that we release. So this would be made available on platforms like Aether, Epic Store, and a few others which we already have partnerships. This would also be there in the build that we release with Portal as well. Somewhere close to the timelines of around the token launch, we would be also releasing a UGC platform, which we were releasing in collaboration with Playmakers for more active campaigns where we would be enabling our users to participate in UGC campaigns. So the second track that we have is for Token Play, our AI infrastructure platform. Now, this would be a soft launch for our early access version, which we will be releasing so that users, creators, and communities can start to publish the mini apps for questing and also to add more utilities for their tokens in just a few minutes. And RVV would be playing a very, very key role in the upcoming couple of weeks and months as we go forward.
Awesome, awesome. You mentioned a token. May I ask what is the utility of the RVV token?
So the RVV token is not a game token. It's a platform token which spans across several different token sinks that we have created over our vast ecosystem. This includes for Token Play, the platform, its mini app creation, ad slots, trending spotlights, and even prize pools. When it comes to the broader Astronova ecosystem, we have several other features and token sinks that we have, such as XP skips for our Battle Pass subscriptions. So this is the same way we monetize, similar to Dota. There is a webcomics Patreon model that we are planning to roll out, where the subscription would be made in RVV tokens. Same way, it would be applicable to the UGC platform that I mentioned earlier, which we have in collaboration with Playmakers. The Black Pass, or social flag questing platform, would be having the RVV integration, where users will be able to transact that token with and redeem RWA vouchers in return. And of course, the most obvious, there will be also in-game upgrades and other areas where the token would be utilized in our Telegram game. So these are a couple of token sinks which RVV has, and as we keep on expanding our platform, it will be having more such utilities within our ecosystem.
Cool, cool. That's very cool. Um, so you mentioned token play. So what exactly is token play, and why does it matter to RVV?
So, Token Play is our mini app operating system for token communities. This is actually the first time where we're unveiling this in a AMA or a space. So, that's a very important reveal of ours. So, this platform of ours, which we have as a collaboration with Alibaba Cloud, is the way how in which creators, users, and communities are able to create viral monetizable mini apps in just a few minutes using no development experience, all purely wipe coded. And this enables the users to create these mini apps integrating their favorite crypto token. So this is a huge area in which we would are anticipating revenue to be made for our project, and a significant portion of that platform fees goes back towards the buybacks and burns of the RVV token. So you can think of this kind of like a let's bonk.fun style momentum, but it's driven not by token launches, but by mini app launches. And it's driven by real usage and transparent execution. So we're not having emissions here. We're talking about an actual token utility for the RVV token. Plus, we're talking about a mechanism for a circular economy where the RVV token is bought and burned with the introduction of this platform and the rollouts.
This seems pretty exciting. Can't wait to see what's happening there. I actually saw that you guys are doing white labels. So what's happening with that?
Right. So when it comes to the white labeling platforms, this is something we're doing for exclusively for select large communities and IPs, where we are creating their own customized solution. So as you can see with the announcements, you can probably see the post of ship.fun, which is a platform that we are creating in collaboration with Shiba Inu for a mini app operating system platform, which is all powered by the AI proprietary AI tech. Similar case study goes towards Simon's Cat as well, which is another mainstream IP where we're creating the tech behind it. And both of these platforms are expected to go live sometime towards Q4, towards the end of it. There is also a very, very major case study which would also be coming. This is also another white label platform which you can look forward in the coming days. Now, one very important point to be added here is the fact that all the revenue from these massive communities where we have engagements with these major projects goes towards the buybacks and burns of the RVV token, which is a huge way in which we anticipate to support the sustained progress and growth of the RVV token as we progress forward.
Awesome, awesome. May I just ask, what is the timeline for TGE?
So I think this is the $1 million question everyone's been waiting for. So the thing is, we want to be releasing this token in the most optimal market and the most optimal conditions, because we're in this just as you guys are waiting for this. You know, we wanted to make sure that this is the culmination of all the efforts that we have going forward, and we want to make sure we do this right. So at the moment, we've been offered certain listing windows in late September and October. So these are like the target windows that we are offered by these exchanges, not the guarantees. And the final timings are going to be dependent on the tier one centralized exchange approvals. Now, the main reason that we are not naming the venues or dates with announcements is because many of the times premature communications, if we are making these announcements, can jeopardize these listing slots, and that's the last thing that we want, and I'm sure all our community members feel the same. So at the moment, what we're looking for is these target windows, as mentioned earlier, with the final times dependent on these tier one exchange countersigns, which we are very much anticipating to conclude in September. So, September, you can expect an announcement of some sort where we have clear timelines on when we're going for this TGE launch. And I'm sure that this is not going to be something which lets you guys down. We're trying all our best, and it's all in our interest to make sure we have a very fabulous and fantastic TGE after all the efforts that we put through.
Awesome, awesome. Um, do you have any bullish news for us?
So we do have a couple of news which I would love to share, but I can't share because of several NDAs and agreements which prevents me from sharing. However, there is one aspect which I can share with you, that is, as we go for the TGE, the one of the pair that we have for our token would be a USD1 pair, which is USD1 is, I'm sure you guys all know, it's a stable coin which is backed by World Liberty Financials, which is by Trump. And you can expect an engagement or announcement about that coming out very soon.
Awesome, awesome. Without naming any partners, what vertical or use case is next for a white label, and what will it unlock for your creators and the community?
So the if I'm not naming the partners and communities for the white label, I think for the early access that we have coming forward, which we are envisioning to launch in sometime in September, towards the middle, we would be actually testing out the platform to stress test it with users onboarding, how the apps are functioning, the customization extent. And this is a way in which we would be getting a lot of user data and feedback so that we can optimize that platform for the coming white label build and also the standalone build, which will be coming in the next couple of months. So you can see, by the way, a very large project with a huge community, which will be announced very shortly as well. This is another white label partnership that we have in store, and that will be coming out and announced publicly very, very shortly. And I'm sure that everyone will be very happy to hear those names, as something which everyone is very familiar with.
Interesting. If I may ask, what's locked versus exploratory across Astronova and Token Play in the upcoming months?
So for token play, we have the September launch of the soft launch, the early access launch that we were envisioning. And then for Astronova, we would be having more Nova Tunes chapter released with Shiba Inu, Mansory, Simon's Cat, and several other of our IP partners. In the coming months, we would be also seeing some upgrades on the Black Pass, Social Fi, and Loyalty Questing platform, along with the Action RPG game modes also released, such as the Survival game mode, which is planned to be released on Kibarium. The white label platforms would be deployed in Q4 this year, but the dates will be announced somewhere closer to the time when the platform is near to completion.
Awesome, awesome. Um, what once we do have TGE, what would be the utility of the RVV token from day one?
That's a really nice question, Jade, because this is something which all the users and the community would really look forward to. Because as soon as a token is released, many think that that's all there is to it. But for us as a project, that's just the starting. And I'm sure that for our early believers and holders and community members, it's also a starting for how the project progresses from that early days. So for in RVV's case, we already have a wide array of products which has token sinks for RVV. This is more from Astronova from an IP angle. For the Nova Tunes, for the Telegram game, for social fi and questing platform called Black Pass, and of course the action RPG where we would be having seasonal black battle pass campaigns set where all of these battle pass campaigns and these passes will be purchased using the RVV token. And most of all is the fact that the token plays white label platform, and also the early access would also be live, which means that these would be all avenues in which RVV token can be utilized. And as soon as token plays revenue starts kicking in, we're looking at a circular loop where the buybacks and burns would immediately begin.
How will you sustain RVV traction after TGE?
So after the day one launch, this is more like as a progress to how we would continue to deliver with our product updates. So from the Astronova ecosystem, it would be with several more. It's a more of an IP angle. We're talking about more comics, more game upgrades, and things like that, which is more of a niche audience, but certainly something which will be continuing. When it comes to token play, it would be with more mainstream adoption, partnerships with other launch pads, because we're talking about a mini app operating system which extends the token lifespan, token utility. So this is a very interesting proposal and proposition for several launch pads. And because we are increasing the project's shelf life theoretically and increasing the community engagement for the project. So we are expecting a lot of partnerships and integrations to go live on that front. And this would be having a huge demand in the RVB token from an IP standpoint, but at the same time, from the revenue standpoint, where we expect a very significant interest to come forward with regular buybacks and everything happening. So you can think of this as how the early Bonk community was there, where Bonk had a very nice price action thanks to the Bonk's own native token launchpad, which they released. And that was able to generate the fees in Solana, which they utilized for the buybacks and burns of the Bonk meme coin. So you can see how effective that was when it came to its price actions, community engagement, community growth. We were expecting something similar, if not more, to happen in our case, especially with our massive white label partners that we have already announced.
Awesome, awesome. This all seems very interesting.